Welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast. Here, we'd love to talk about the Walt Disney World Resort, the way we remember it, how it's changed, and why we still enjoy visiting the most magical place on Earth. So come with us on a podcast journey as we reflect on the WDW Reflections Podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast, your unofficial guide through Disney World and all things Disney memories and their connections to the parks we know and love today. I'm Dewey, one of the hosts of the show, and this is episode number 55 of the WDW Reflections Podcast. We thank y'all for being here with us. Before we get into this episode's main topic, we'd like to invite y'all to connect with us through the show's social media accounts. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at WDW Reflections Podcast, and on Twitter at WDW Reflections. And don't forget, for all things WDW Reflections Podcast, head on over to our website at wdwreflectionspodcast.com. And with that out of the way, let's get started with the show. With me today is only one of my podcast travel buddies. Ron is unable to be with us today, but my good buddy, Tony G, has joined me today. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, Dewey. It's one of those unusual shows that we're having today. We decided to kind of get together because we both happen to have a snow day.
So January 19th up here in the frozen tundra of the Northeast, and I'm a high school teacher, and I got a snow day. So I had to, create some assignments for my students and post those up on Google Classroom. And now here we are. We find ourselves with a day off. So Tony and I were like, hey, it'd be fun. Let's do an episode just for the heck of it.
Just for the heck of it. And also, last year we had a lot of days where we weren't all able to get together. So we figured let's try to do something new this year. We'll do a couple more shows where it's just more spontaneous, where we just get together when we're able to. Unfortunately, Ron's going to be very busy over the next couple of weeks, so he may not be here as often as we want him to, but we can keep talking Disney in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. Ron's a busy guy at work, and then he's also very involved in his church, and will be traveling I think he's actually traveling for both work and for the church in the next month or so. So he'll be here with us sporadically, and then there'll be times when it's just going to be Tony and I, or is it Tony and me? I should say Tony and me. Watch out for the grammar police. And or maybe sometimes we might have someone else join us. But we miss Ron when he's not here. But as they say in showbiz, Tony, what do they say in showbiz?
They say the show must go on.
I knew you were going to say it. So like Tony and I said, today we have a snow day. And we didn't really have a whole lot prepared or anything. We weren't planning on an episode today. But when the opportunity presented itself, we thought, let's just do something fun. So we went over to one of our favorite pages on Facebook, our good buddy Aiden's page, Theme Park Life.
Theme Park / Life.
Theme Park, yeah. Theme Park /
_ Life, yeah.
Yeah, Theme Park Life. You can find it. He's got hilarious stuff almost every day, and sometimes multiple times a day. But anyway,
and lots of sometimes some pretty good information about historical
travel, history. Yeah, absolutely, all kinds of good stuff. Never disappointed in this Facebook page. He's on Instagram and stuff too. But he posted a meme, I guess you could call it, the other day, and it was plan your perfect day at Classic EPCOT Center. And you know me, I'm a sucker for EPCOT Center, right?
Yep, that's your favorite.
Oh my gosh. If only we still had, Classic EPCOT Center, but we don't. So we have to play pretend with stuff like this. So the meme is one of those, you get $40 to plan your day. And I'll just do a quick rundown of what each of the attractions cost, okay? So he's got it broken down into 5 categories, which I bet you can figure out. $1 attractions, $2 attractions, $3 attractions, $4 attractions, and then $5 attractions. Okay. And, obviously the $1 attractions are the smaller ones, and the $5 attractions are the big hitters, right? So, the $1 attractions are Magic Journeys, the World Key kiosks, Smart One, The Making of Me, Symbiosis, and Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. Already, you could.
Yeah, but I don't even remember some of these. What's SMRT1?
Smart One was a robot that you could find in Communicore.
Oh, right. You mentioned that one of the shows, right?
Yeah, you remember Smart One? He was I mean, look, in the 80s, we all thought we were going to have robot butlers and, robots flying or driving our flying cars.
Instead, we got Siri, Alexa, and Google.
Yeah. Hey, look, those are cool, but it's not as cool as Smart One. But that's what Smart One was. He was that robot that you could find in Communicore.
And Symbiosis was?
Symbiosis is so where, well, it's gone now, but in the Land Pavilion, the theater that's up to the right as you're entering it was a few years ago. It was the Lion King video, the movie about where there. I'm trying to remember the name
conservation one.
Yes, where they're
Circle of Life.
Circle of Life. There you go. They should make a song. So it was
might win an Oscar for that.
Timon and Pumbaa. They were going to build the condos or whatever, and they were like, they decided not to because of conservation. But that's Symbiosis was its predecessor. It was there before, way back in the 80s. We're talking, old school, original. Super fun, awesome Epcot Center. So, are you familiar with the rest in that
in that group? Yes.
Okay, good. So that's the $1 attractions. The $2 attractions are the ImageWorks.
Which I was having trouble remembering what that was. What's ImageWorks?
ImageWorks, and Tony, you just happen to have the best background on your. Those of you that are watching the YouTube can see the background. It's Journey into Imagination back there. The second floor.
It's a photo I took in 2006.
Yeah, you're quite the photographer. So over your right shoulder is the Pyramids of Journey into Imagination. The second floor of that pyramid used to be a super fun playground called the ImageWorks, and it was really cool, hands-on stuff that kids could do and draw with magic pens and all that kind of stuff. It was just a lot of fun on the second floor of the Imagination Pavilion. So super fun stuff. Kitchen Cabaret is on. We're still working on the $2 list. Food Rocks, Impressions de France, Wonders of China, and Oh Canada. And of course, the last three on that list are the Circle Vision 360 movies that are in World Showcase. So on over to the $3 attractions: Body Wars, Cranium Command, Maelstrom, El Rio del Tiempo, sorry, and the American Adventure. Then $4 attractions: The Living Seas, Universe of Energy, Listen to the Land, Captain EO, and Tapestry of Nations. And then your big money, your $5 attractions: Horizons, World of Motion, Journey into Imagination, and Spaceship Earth. And you can choose any version of Spaceship Earth. So those are all the money categories. And remember, you get $40. So all of those money categories, you can only add up to a $40 day to pick all these attractions. And then as a bonus for free, you don't have to pay for it. You get to pick your fireworks show. So you've got Laserphonic Fantasy. Some of these are going way back. Illuminations 25, Illuminations Reflections of Earth, Epcot Forever, and Harmonious. So those are all the fireworks shows you get to choose from. For bonus, those don't count against your $40. So Tony and I spent some time this morning making our list. So it's just going to be fun to just compare our list, Tony, and see if we've maybe duplicated some stuff. And really, the most fun, I think, is going to find the differences that we have if we pick different stuff. But maybe we're sharing a brain here. I don't know. All right. So, Tony, how should we break this down? I just made a list, but do we want to maybe start with the lower dollar amounts and then work our way up to
Yeah,
the
let's do it
big
that way.
$5 amounts?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I only chose one of the dollar attractions. And how many did you choose in the dollar
Of the
attractions?
dollar attractions, I only chose one as well.
Okay, awesome. So
And I think that
my
was just to make up for the
yeah,
cost there.
yeah, I got to $39 and I had to pick one of the $1 attractions. So that's what I did too. So let's see if we're on the same page. My $1 attraction was Magic Journeys. Magic Journeys. Did you ever see that one? Do you remember Magic Journeys?
I'm sure I saw it. I just don't remember it. Though I know that anything from
So
that era was great.
Magic Journeys actually played, it moved from Epcot to the Magic Kingdom for a little while. It played in what is now PhilharMagic, but man, it was wacky. The best part of Magic Journeys was the music. It was like disco. I don't even, not even really disco. I don't even know how to explain it, but you could tell it was definitely late 70s, early 80s, all the sound effects and really,
Was it like a
really out
3D
there.
3D type? I'm sorry,
Yeah, it
a
was.
panorama thing.
It was in the theater where Captain EO
Hmm.
and Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and all that stuff. It was the first show that played there. So Magic Journeys, mostly because of the super cool music, that was my first pick for my dollar side. What did you pick for your $1 attraction, Tony?
Well, again, we were trying for the dollar attractions. I was trying to even everything up a little bit, so I chose the one from there that it's not necessarily my favorite, but my probably the one I'm most familiar with from this list, and that would be "Honey, I Shrunk the Audience."
That one's
And
definitely, more recent, right?
more recent, but I did go on it a bunch, and I used to, cruelly laugh when I'd bring someone who didn't know what was going to happen there, especially at the scene at the end with when all the mice got let into the auditorium. I would love
Yes.
watching people squirm and scream and get on. My sister literally got on top of her chair.
That Honey, I Shrunk the Audience was one of the first, I guess they call it 4D. It was the first
Mm.
one, at least that I can remember, that had those kind of effects that tickled your feet or sprayed water or something like that at you. Definitely fun. All right. So let's go to our $2 attractions. Let's see. I have one, two $2 attractions.
Did I
So
pick any? I think I just picked one from there.
one from your $2 attractions.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. My first, since I have two, I'll just go ahead and go with one of them.
Hmm.
My first one was Food Rocks. I picked Food Rocks from this $2 attractions. It could have gone either way between Kitchen Cabaret or Food Rocks, but I remember in the early 2000s when my wife and I were still pretty. We met in 1999 and got married in 2000. So early 2000s was the before kids, and when we would go down there as just a couple and have fun and everything. Food Rocks was one of our favorites, and specifically was one of my wife's favorites. So um, I picked that because of nostalgia. It was, and plus it was, I mean, it was 80s music at its, it had Peter Gabriel and Tone Loc and the Beach Boys, so 80s and 90s music, you know, sung by Fruits. it was totally wacky, but it was a
Believe it
lot
or
of
not, I
fun.
never got to see that one. I think I didn't. I had a thing against puppets or something at the time. I don't know, but I did not see that one.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you to go to the YouTubes and
Yeah,
and find
I
Food
have.
Rocks.
I
It's
have since
actually
we've
really
seen it.
good. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good. It was a lot of fun. So that was one of my $2. I got two of them. That was one of my $2 um, attractions. So what is your two? You only picked one from this category, right?
Right. I only picked one. I think initially I had picked two, but I think it was going to go a little bit over. So I picked one of my favorite things to do in the countries there, and that was, believe it or not, Oh Canada. And I kind of do that also in tribute to Aiden, whose site this belongs to, since if I remember correctly, he's from Canada. But I think I thought that was fun to go see. I saw that a couple of different times.
And that movie's been redone
Yeah,
several times. Do you have a favorite iteration of O Canada of
not
that?
not necessarily. I think that was it once narrated by Martin Short or something like that.
I think they actually just replaced that one.
Okay.
It was so not the current one, but the one before that. And correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody's listening, maybe I'm wrong. I think they replaced the Martin Short one, and I loved it.
Hmm.
I'm almost certain because I remember a few years ago I went and saw it one more time because I knew that it was going to be changing. And I'm a big Martin Short. I love Martin Short.
Yeah,
He's hilarious. So I loved that. I'm pretty sure it's changed now, but that was funny. Martin Short's hilarious.
he is. And I think the presentation of that was great, and the song kind of stayed with you a little bit. So I like that one.
And listen, Oh Canada, the song is,
Hmm.
classic Epcot Center. Love
Yep.
that. Really, really good song. And I'm not even Canadian, and I love that song. So
Was that
good
the
stuff.
one? I mean, I might be mistaken, but is that the one that suddenly turned into a big bobsled area all around you or something like that? And you went down.
Yes, I don't know
Yeah.
which iteration of
Yeah.
it did that because like I said, there's been several, but it was there is scenes from I think their Olympic bobsled
Right.
team was going down the luge or the bobsled or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but it was definitely and all the screens showed like 360 degrees what it was like to be in that tiny little bobsled, and you could see all around you. Very very cool stuff
I'd
actually.
also like to mention a lot of people sometimes miss it. I know I missed it several times during my first trips to Epcot because you're trying to get to the main section of all the countries, and or you're trying to get to the other side. But Canada is one of the nicer looking pavilions that they've got there, especially with the water. I don't know if it's still there, but the waterfall that used to be there, and
It
and
is.
a world class restaurant that was there with La Celliere. I mean, I still can think about the taste of that steak that I had there, and it's been over 15 years maybe now, but I still remember that the experience of having eaten there and the experience of what it was like to stand by the waterfall and be in that area was really nice. It's one of those overlooked ones because you're trying to get to either one side or the other, I think.
And their broccoli cheese soup is super famous there. Really good. But unfortunately, a lot of the Circle Vision movies are kind of overlooked just because it's not really, you know, it's not exciting. It's not whatever,
Maelstrom.
Yeah, exactly. Most folks are trying to get to the rides,
Yeah,
and the kids are like, I don't want to watch a movie,
right.
So, but definitely check them out.
But even
They
just,
are
I mean,
worth
just
it.
scenically, I remember taking a lot of different photos. That waterfall area is really very pretty,
Absolutely. All
and
dude, World
the
Showcase is the
garden area is
best.
gorgeous.
Yep. World Showcase is the best.
Yeah.
Very pretty. So let's see. So I have a second $2 location. And Tony, you and I talked about it just a minute ago because you didn't remember what it was, but
Mhm.
I chose the Image Works because I can remember as a kid, and again, this is just a purely nostalgic thing. I was a freak for this place when I was a kid. It was just, I was so um, I don't know, just amazed by the fact that you could touch a screen and do stuff with it. Even if it would have like a TV screen and a picture of Figment or a picture of Dreamfinder or something like that. And you took your little magic pen and you could color that picture, you're coloring, and it had a list of colors to the side, and you could take your magic pen and select purple so you could color Dreamfinder's suit and then select red for his beard. It was just super fun. And, that kind of stuff, nowadays it may seem pedestrian. Everybody
But we
has a
could do
touch
that now,
screen,
yeah. But
right? I could do that on my iPhone,
yeah.
but you couldn't do that in the 80s, and it was super cool. And they had the first time I ever saw green screen technology was there. They had this silly little video where you pretend like you were running from, I don't know, like this bad cowboy or something, and they would let kids get in front of this green screen, and then people in the audience could look up and see the TV, and they were in like in a saloon, a Western saloon or something, and the cowboy was shooting at their feet, and they had to, jump and dance. It was just, it was just stuff that you didn't see, especially in the 80s. Now I currently have a green screen behind me right
Right.
now,
Yeah.
but in the 80s, nobody knew what a green screen was.
Oh,
It
it
was
would have been
super cool.
amazing. It would have been
Oh yeah,
absolutely amazing if we would had that back then.
super cool stuff. So I picked ImageWorks just because of the fond memories I have as a kid doing that stuff. So it was super cool. All right, so that ends the $2 category. So now we're getting into some of the bigger attractions. So for $3 attractions, let's see. I actually only have one $3 attraction. Did you pick any from the $3?
I actually have three from there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we'll let you start off since you have so many from this category.
Okay. And I don't know if this is in any particular order, but well, you didn't say what they were. You can say what they were first.
So $3 attractions: Body Wars, Cranium Command, Maelstrom, El Rio del Tiempo, and the American Adventure.
Okay. So with those in mind, I definitely would love if I had $3 to spend at Epcot for each of these. Would definitely have gone to, I'll do them in lesser order first. Maelstrom. I do miss that attraction. I have not been to the park since they turned it into the new Frozen thing. So in my mind, it's still there waiting. But Maelstrom was the first choice. And second choice would be El Rio del Tiempo. I love the Three Caballeros overlay that they've got now, but the first version was really great too. And my number one choice, of course, is one of my favorite and non-missable attractions there, which is the American Adventure. In fact, I'd pay twice to see that.
I'm going to take two choices for American Adventure. Man, this one was hard because there's so many good ones in this one. And American Adventure probably should have been on my list because it is one of my all-time favorites. But since it's still there and I can actually go see it in real life, I skipped over it. And that's just the rules I imposed upon myself. You don't have to play by my rules, Tony.
That's okay.
So I only picked one from this category, and I went with Maelstrom because first of all, it's better than that Frozen thing we have right now. It actually represented, the country in World Showcase being Norway. And you were not the first to pass this way. I still say that all the time. I said that to one of my kids the other day, just because
I'm just remembering the horror that I had the first time that I went on that, and my nephews had taken me on it, and they were like, "Oh, you're not going to believe this ride," and they didn't tell me that it was going to go backwards. That was something else.
And look, Disney, all the commercials and stuff that they put out for this thing, they made it seem like it was a thrill ride, almost like Splash Mountain, like,
Right.
you thought you were going to be having this giant backwards, roller coaster style fall and, all kinds of stuff, right? And it was awesome, but it wasn't that. It wasn't really a thrill ride. But I was sort of like you. I was a little scared to do it my first time.
I used to I used to be kind of cruel at Epcot. I'd take people for the first time there and let them be totally frightened about the fact that suddenly this thing is not going to do what they'd start getting nervous when it went up the incline and then went backwards.
So you're the guy that's making them drink Beverly at Ice Station Cool and then putting them on Maelstrom, right?
There you go.
All right. So that was your three for the $3 category. You really spent a lot of money in your $3 category.
I did.
All right, so let's see. So the $4 category, let's remind our listeners, this is The Living Seas, Universe of Energy, Listen to the Land, Captain EO, and Tapestry of Nations. And let's see, how many did I get from the $4? One, two. I have 3 from the $4 category. How many do you have?
I have 2.
Okay. So I'll let's just, you want to bounce back and forth since
Sure.
I'll start since I've got 3. My first one is The Living Seas. I went with The Living Seas. Listen, it's still there, and you can still kind of see some of the remnants of it. It's definitely not the same as now that it's the seas with Nemo and friends or whatever it is. No more hydrolators, and very rarely do you get to see someone come down the water, the hatch there, and no more deluge, the movie, the movie at the beginning with the deluge. So you could, when you ride your little clamshells now, you still get a little taste of how awesome the ride was and how it, could have been still amazing without cartoons in it. But man, original Living Seas, just so much fun, and the music is amazing. You can still go to YouTube and just search for the Living Sea soundtrack. Sometimes I put that on in my office at work and just just close my eyes for a second, and it's like just very peaceful. It's so awesome. So I miss the Living Seas. So that's number 1 of my 3 from the $4 category. You've got 2. What's your first one, Tony?
My first one of those 2 would be The Universe of Energy, just to hear the guy sing that at the end of it there. I missed the Ellen version, actually. I enjoyed that one a lot more than the first one. But seeing the dinosaurs, being able to rest in a ride so you don't have to walk around the park and watch all of the things going on around you. The movie was interesting. The animatronics were interesting, and that whole adventure was fun. You're kind of like captured in there for it feels like a good part of the day, but it was a fun ride for me. So I would go there.
And this is the next one on my list, so I'll just jump in with you too, Tony. This thing was like a 45-minute experience, but the very beginning was awesome because it had
that's right,
the pre-show with the
pre-show
geometric tiles that turned around and stuff.
Either that one or even the Jeopardy one with Ellen.
Absolutely. And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about Ellen's Energy Adventure, but we could. This is our show. We do whatever we want. But both of them were great. The dinosaurs, man, I remember as a kid, I was freaking out that I was going to get to see life-size dinosaurs, and my first time there, I just loved it and never stopped loving it. And the music from both versions, Universe of Energy, but also the music from Ellen's Energy Adventure, both really, really great music. And Universe of Energy had multiple versions of their theme song. They had Energy, You Make the World Go Round, and then they also had Universe of Energy. So gosh, all of these old Epcot pavilions just had the best music. It was so awesome. So I'm with you on Universe of Energy. I had that one too, Tony.
Okay, my additional one from this category is Captain EO, and it's because I thought that was a fun attraction. It's one of the ones that I remember most from my early visits to Epcot Center, as well as to later days in Epcot. I think it was in its renewed version when I was last there. So I do miss that. I would love to go see that again.
Did you have a chance to go see it when it came back?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, I did too.
With the enhanced effects and stuff, it was a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. I'm that route of all the $4 attractions, that really surprises me. You went with Captain EO. You must hold that must hold a special place in your.
It was fun. I really,
yeah. That's awesome. Well, the good thing about it is it is different than one of my answers, so that's fun that we're getting to talk about more stuff. So we both chose. We both chose Universe of Energy from that category. And then I had Living Seas and you had Captain EO. So my fourth one and or third one from the $4 category. And I can't, is Jen your niece or your cousin? But
Oh, Jenny. Jenny's my
yeah,
niece.
Jenny, she's going to be so angry with you that you didn't choose Tapestry of Nations.
Why was that in there? Oh, I did have it
It's
at one point, but I had to move it around a bit. Oh, actually, you know what? Now you say that, I didn't realize what I crossed out here. I do have Tapestry of Nations here.
Well,
Actually
so
do,
is it
just so
in your
Jenny could
40
see.
or is it not in your
It's in
$40?
my four list. I just didn't realize I had crossed out
Oh,
the
okay.
amount.
So Jenny's not going to be mad at you.
I hope
You
not.
you do have it on there?
Yep, I do have it on there.
Okay, great. Well then, great minds think alike.
Yes.
Listen, uh, man, Epcot really misses out on not having a parade, and for a little while at the turn of the century, turn of the millennium, Epcot did have a parade, and it was called Tapestry of Nations. It was later changed to Tapestry of Dreams after the Millennium Celebration was over. But I absolutely loved, adored. I was a giant nerd for this parade. I bought. You remember back when you could buy music from the parks? You could buy those
Yes.
CDs. I bought the Tapestry of Nations CD. I still have it, even though I don't need it because you can stream it now. But I still have it.
Well, technically
I
speaking, we use a
loved.
little bit of that in our opening
We
intro.
do. Don't tell anybody.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely positively love Tapestry of Nations. So much fun. The floats were cool. The puppets. You liked these puppets, right, Tony? The puppets in
Yes,
this
those I could do.
in this parade
In
were
fact,
so
my niece
good.
Jenny was a sprite. She was one of the that's one of the characters that has the gigantic wing span.
Yeah, uh-huh. So super cool. So I picked Tapestry of Nations. You want to talk about it for a second since you also chose it?
Well, that was a combination of the music and the spectacle all coming to life together. It made it seem as if it was the world was united at that point, and it felt as if that was a special part of Epcot when that parade would go by.
It was so good. And I don't, maybe it would work today, maybe it wouldn't, because World Showcase is always so crowded now. But it's the thoroughfare, but it's so wide, it's almost made for a parade, I think Disney's missing out by not having that happen, something there. But man, I just wish they would just do a throwback or something and just bring Tapestry of Nations back, or it'd just be so cool. But anyway, it's going to get one of my $4 votes for this planning your
And me
perfect
too. It
Epcot
was on
Center
there. I just
day.
accidentally crossed out something on top of it.
So, all right, great minds think alike again, Tony. Had to put Tapestry of Nations in there. All right, so we're getting close to the end here. We're down to the big money $5 attractions. Let's see, Horizons, World of Motion, Journey into Imagination, and Spaceship Earth. And in parentheses, Aiden has said we can choose any version of Spaceship Earth. So I'm just going to lay it out there and tell you that this is where a bulk of my money went. I chose all four of them.
Ah.
So I have four $5 attractions. I could not skip any of these four attractions. So I'll just talk about them real quick. Horizons, arguably the greatest attraction ever built by Disney. A successor, a part two in I guess in spirit of Carousel of Progress. The music, absolutely amazing. It's some of the best stuff that Disney has ever done. And then you get to choose your own adventure at the end, majority rules, and you get to choose, how the end of the ride finishes, which was again unheard of in the 80s, touch screen stuff. And my brother and I would always fight between space and sea because I wanted to see space, he always wanted to see sea. Horizons, goodness gracious, so good. World of Motion, everybody knows, if you've heard this show, that's my absolute favorite attraction of all time. The music, the comedy, it's perfect. Journey into Imagination, just to see Figment in his glory and to see Dreamfinder again, so much fun. And then Spaceship Earth, I went with the, which I think is the best version, the one from the mid 80s, the Walter Cronkite version. That was, again, Spaceship Earth to me, it's the best version. Walter Cronkite was the voice of a generation and, you know, just super fun, super cool. Absolutely loved it. So I spent $20 of my $40 Epcot Center day, and I'm doing all four of those $5 attractions. So what about you, Tony? What $5 attractions did you pick?
Well, I spent $15 of the money there, and it was for ones that you have mentioned, of course, because you mentioned all of them. However, it's also because since doing the show and starting the show, whatever it's been, 2.5, 3 years ago, I have learned a lot more about what was there and learned to appreciate a lot more about what I saw when I went to the park during my first visits in the early 1990s. And so things like Horizons are on there because I definitely would want to see it. I don't think I had the opportunity to visit that as much as I could have back in the day. I don't remember the reasons why. I think maybe because at that time I was more of a fan of Disney's MGM Studios, and I went to Epcot not as often. So I didn't get to do that as much as I would have liked to. World of Motion, another one. I learned the history of that through our show, and was able to rekindle some memories of that thanks to our show talking about it. So I definitely would love to see that in person. It sounds like something that was totally not missable. And Spaceship Earth is something I always do at Epcot. It's a must do. It doesn't really matter to me which particular version, although I will say Walter Cronkite stands out. Jeremy Irons does as well, probably because I saw it more during that period. But I did enjoy the Walter Cronkite version. And so those three were my three choices.
And you're a little bit older than me,
Yeah,
not much, but you probably remember Walter Cronkite delivering the news, right?
absolutely. Yes, this is
Yeah.
Walter Cronkite.
I don't know that I do. I was born in 74, so I don't know that I really remember Walter Cronkite giving the news. But I figured you might actually because you were a little bit older than me. But
Yes, yes.
definitely very recognizable voice. So, all right,
It's
Tony.
not
So
that
we've
Jeremy Irons does not have a recognizable voice, but
well,
listening to Scar talk about the history of the Earth is not exactly.
and it's so funny because it was literally the same time that Lion King was out,
Yeah,
so around 94, 95. So,
he sounds like he
you
can't be bothered with it when he says his lines.
look, if you're a kid, you're like, oh my God, Scar is telling me this story. You're afraid to like not pay attention. You're like, he's literally going to attack me. That's I always thought that was funny. Scar was the host of your Spaceship Earth journey. So, oh, that's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so we've spent our $40, Tony.
Yep.
We've spent our $40. That's our day at building your perfect classic Epcot Center day.
I think I still had
But
a dollar or two change, but I did
oh, you
spend it.
didn't spend something?
It was not there wasn't enough to spend on here.
You could. How much money did you have left? Do you
I think I
know?
had another dollar or two left, but I think I'm going to save that for like a Mickey ice cream bar or something.
You could go see Smart One.
There you go.
Okay, so but we still have the bonus, the freebie, the perfect way to end the night. And I'm almost certain you and I are going to pick the same
I
one.
think so.
I mean, there's really no other choice. You have to go Illuminations, Reflections of Earth, right? Am I right?
We kind of named the show after it, so I kind of think so.
Kind of sort of did, didn't we? No copyright infringement. Um, so, goodness gracious, listen, Reflections of Earth, I don't care who you are, or it doesn't matter. If Illuminations, Reflections of Earth is not your favorite all-time Disney fireworks spectacular, you're a crazy person. This thing, oh my gosh, I bet you I've seen it 100 times, and I bet you it brought tears to my eyes 100 times. Just
Do you remember
It
when
was
there was a it was like
perfect.
a combination of Tapestry of Nations and Reflections of Earth? It's kind of a one period.
Well, they played off each other very
Yeah.
much. You know,
They
the
actually played the
fire and the
music, didn't they, in that?
torches, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it was the music is reminiscent of each
Mhm.
other. It has that way,
Yes,
all
that.
that like the chorus of humans, chanting and stuff. But just so good, and such a message of togetherness and peace and love, and all that stuff. And the kind of thing that unfortunately Disney is having trouble recapturing or creating again. They've tried with a couple of shows since then. Epcot Forever, which was fun, but just old Epcot music, which I love, obviously. Harmonious, didn't love it. And I haven't seen Luminous yet. That's the new one. But I hear that while better than Harmonious, still doesn't hold a candle to Reflections of Earth. So, you know, I don't know if it's a money thing. I don't know. I don't know what's keeping Disney from finding that soul, that they brought to, the things like Wishes and Reflections of Earth. That era, I don't know, man, just could not be beat. But um, so I'm definitely Reflections of Earth. Why did you choose Reflections of Earth, Tony?
Oh, all of those reasons, and plus, especially that musical recollection of the Tapestry of Nations. That might be why I forgot that I had mentioned that before. I remember
Absolutely.
walking around Epcot at one point. I made the mistake of thinking I was staying at one of those Epcot resorts, and I had made the idea of thinking that, oh yeah, I can just leave the resort before the parade starts and walk from one side of the park to the other while the fireworks are going on off. And I didn't realize how long of a walk that was. And so all I know is I made it maybe halfway through before the fireworks were over, but that was a fun night, and that's something I'll always remember.
Yeah, man, listen, the best time in any park, anywhere I've ever been, is nighttime in the World Showcase.
Hmm.
The torches and the music, and it's other, like it whisks you away. You're no longer in, you know,
Well,
the real
I don't know if
world.
they do this now, but remember they shut out all the lights everywhere and made it extra dark, and then it all
Uh-huh.
came up. Did you ever watch any of those night shows from a restaurant?
Um, I have watched it before they closed in. I can't remember the name of it now, but on the opposite side of the Mexico Pavilion, where it used to be the counter service, they've closed it in now, and there's a little bit of the outdoor pavilion left where you can sit down. But before that was all tables and stuff. I've watched it from there before. I've never watched it from like Rose and Crown or any of the restaurants like that.
We during the Disney dining plan days, we actually got an opportunity to see it during from Chef de France, and
Oh,
it,
up on the second floor.
yeah, it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I bet that would be. I have not done that. My wife and I, we have these grand plans. We're moving down there in 1 year, 5 months, and our plan is to once a month, at least once a month, try a new restaurant, and a couple of times a year, we're going to do like a weekend at a new hotel. So
Nice.
just to try stuff out that we've never done. We're going to live local, so be real easy. Just pack an overnight bag and go check out a new hotel, eat at a new restaurant. So each month we're going to try and
And
do
report
one.
on it back here at the show.
Hey, absolutely, absolutely. So uh, that's true. There's going to be a lot of new content coming in 1 year and 5 months because I'm going to be there all the time, and y'all are going to have to hear me talk about it all the time. So that was fun. Man, you know what? I miss Epcot Center. And have I ever said that on the show?
I wonder. You can look back at the archives and let us know what you think.
I miss Epcot Center, man. It was so perfect. It really was perfect.
Hey, I'd like to throw
Um,
this out to the audience out there. What do you miss about Epcot? Did you follow along with this? And do you have your favorites from this list? And you can actually see the list over at Theme Park Life fan page if you want to let them know there. But we certainly would love to hear here. It helps to hear your comments, either here on the podcast page or over on our YouTube. Let us know. What do you miss? What did you like from these attractions, and how would you spend your Epcot money?
Absolutely. Let us know. We'd love to hear how you're spending your $40 at the Build Your Perfect Classic Epcot Center Day.
And
Super fun.
and don't be smart and tell us you just bought your T-shirt and there goes your $40. We know that.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, this is only attractions. And,
Yes.
I don't know if you can get a T-shirt for $40 anymore.
That's true. You probably can get a hat for that much.
All right. So let's see. That was great. That's it for the main segment for today. So let's talk real quick about something that Tony brought to my attention earlier. Was it today that we talked
Yeah,
about it? Might have been
morning.
last night that we talked about it. I don't remember. But just in talking about what's happening around Walt Disney World right now, it looks like they've extended the opportunity for Disney After Hours. So those of you that may not be familiar, Disney from time to time offers extended hours for its park guests where you can buy an additional ticket and they'll stay open up to 3 hours, 3 extra hours past park closing.
I'm trying to remember. Did they always charge for that after hours? I don't remember.
No,
I don't
they
remember.
didn't always charge
I think
for
it was
that.
just a perk that you got, right? If you stayed on site or something.
Well, it used to be extra magic hours, they used to call it, and some parks opened an hour early, and some parks stayed open 2 or 3 hours later at the end of the day. And yes, it used to be free. I think that ended with the pandemic. You know, when they reopened after the pandemic, they didn't reinstate extra magic hours, and it's come back to a degree, but I think it was only for the expensive resorts.
Right.
What are they called? It's value, moderate, and I can't remember the category.
And pay too much money to stay here resorts.
Yeah, that's the long name.
The deluxe.
Deluxe resorts. There you go. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. So they did restore it a little bit, but you had to be staying at one of those deluxe resorts. Well, now Disney After Hours is a hugely popular event that it costs you an extra separate ticket from your regular admission. So, and they do
And
it.
Do you have to have a regular admission in order to take advantage of this too? Do you know?
I think you can buy just the ticket just for these 3 hours, which maybe is kind of cool. If you maybe you doing a water park during the day and you don't want to use a theme park ticket that day because you're doing the water park, or maybe doing a day at Disney Springs or something, then buy just the ticket for the Disney After Hours. Maybe, but you better bring your checkbook, because the after hours for the summer of 2024, depending on when you're there, the price range is anywhere from $145 per person to $175 per person. So remember, that's just 3 hours in my hand. There we go. Just 3 hours of time for, I don't know what is, I'm not good at math, but that's like a lot of money per hour. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Smaller crowds, they do limit how many people can purchase these tickets. So fewer lines, you get less people to fight.
And not as hot as humid at night either.
Not as hot, that's true. If we're talking summer here, this is depending on what park. Let's see, Magic Kingdom, this extra Disney After Hours is running from April 22nd to June 27th. Epcot through July 18th. Hollywood Studios through August 29th. So
it's probably still going to be in the 90s, but it won't be that hot sun blazing on you.
Absolutely. You can get away from the sun in the nighttime, right? So, look, man, Disney, you're not getting out of a Disney trip. If you're taking a family of four, you're going to be spending somewhere between probably $6,000 and $10,000, for a probably 5 or 6 night trip. So, um, I don't know. What do you think, Tony? Is that worth this kind of money for you?
Well, if you can't seem to do things during the day because it's so crowded, I think maybe it'll be good. I mean, I've always liked the nighttime hours when they used to offer it. I find it amazing that they actually have to charge for it now. But it'd be worth
Yeah,
a shot. It's just a lot of money. I mean,
look,
it's
Tony.
pretty much the same price as a regular ticket.
It is. It really is. But for only $3,
Yeah,
for only 3 hours,
yeah.
But we shouldn't be surprised because they are, charging for Fast Pass now. Now
Hmm.
it's Genie Plus or whatever. So why wouldn't they charge for extra magic hours, something else that used to be free?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever use this when I'm uh, living down there in a few years or in a year and a half. I'll just have an annual pass, or I'll be a cast member and
Right. And that way you
just,
can go every day. Well, if
right, go
it's
whenever I
somebody like
want.
me,
So,
though, you'd have to have a lot of extra energy to like get built up again just to be able to wake up enough and walk around the park. It just sounds
well,
like so much.
and that just about does it for this episode of the WDW Reflections podcast. Please find and follow us on all our social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at WDW Reflections Podcast, and on Twitter or X at WDW Reflections. This podcast can be found on and played on many podcast platforms, and we'd love it if you'd give the show a follow wherever you listen. And if you love the show, please leave us some feedback on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Those positive feedbacks help the show reach a larger audience and helps us grow. Make sure you check out the website at www.reflectionspodcast.com. And don't forget, you can always message us from any of those social media accounts, or you can email us at www.reflectionspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And please come back and keep listening because we truly appreciate you. Thanks for reflecting on Walt Disney World memories with us on the WDW Reflections podcast.
See you real soon.